No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
I'll be honest with you good folks who are tuning in to the Illegal Curve post-game show on this Thursday night. I was sitting there with about 4 minutes to go in the game, and it's a 1-0 Chicago lead, and it's been one of the lowest event games of the year, and I'm thinking to myself, well,
Drew, didn't you see my tweet? I said, don't say low event.
No, I blocked you on Twitter years ago. I was thinking to myself, what the hell am I going to talk about for the next hour? How are we going to fill an hour worth of airtime talking about this game? Fortunately, we have a lot to talk about now, thanks to the stirring Winnipeg Jets comeback. They continue the winning streak. It looked like it was in peril for
the record-setting winning streak, Drew.
Yes, the record-setting winning streak, exactly. The franchise record 8th win in a row for the Winnipeg Jets. And
14th straight game with a point, which sets a record for a Winnipeg-based NHL franchise, eclipsing the one they tied in 84-85. Those Jets were 10-0-3. These Jets were 11-0-2. And of course, now they're 12-0-2. So they've set the record for an NHL-based franchise for 14 games with at least a point.
There you go. So, but I was sitting there for a while thinking, all right, am I going to have to, start looking for the interesting things that have happened in the world that we can bring up to discuss during the nonsense portion of the show, the nonsense portion of the show, folks. And I know a lot of you love the nonsense portion, and I do too. The nonsense portion was on the verge of being a much longer portion of tonight's show had it not been for that stirring late game comeback to give the sold out crowd of 15,225 people there something to cheer about when
Thanks
they
for
had
getting
been
the exact number,
quiet.
by the way, Drew.
Well, I like to be fully accurate here, Ezzy. They finally
it
gave
used to be
crowd,
like 15,300.
It was
they amended
15,500 when they first came back, and then they've realigned
seats
seating.
out. It was the loge seating, I believe, Drew.
I think the loge seating exactly is what caused there to
I think
be,
they also remember above the Ticketmaster lounge, they've added some seats or something like that. So there's been some adjustments.
In any event, the number is 15,225. It was a sellout. And for 55 minutes of this game, that 15,000 people didn't have much to cheer about. And then they had a whole hell of a lot to cheer about afterwards as the Winnipeg Jets, for the second time this season, come back from trailing after 40 minutes and pull out another victory tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks. And with all of that said, we say good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all of you joining us, wherever you may be, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg. I am your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets.
Thanks for the Pepsi, Dave.
Again.
Delicious.
The Winnipeg Jets winning yet again. Tonight, it was a 2-1 margin, one of the uglier victories of recent memory, but it's still 2 points in regulation, and the Jets will gladly run away with it. And you have to feel bad. I said it to Dave before you joined us, Ezzy. You got to feel a little bit bad for the Chicago Blackhawks because they played,
and specifically Mrazek. Because he was 3.5 minutes away from a shutout. And the thing is, like, when you're one of the worst teams in the league, like, this is all you have, right? Like, the Blackhawks are not making the playoffs this year.
No,
so, yes, the Blackhawks definitely skated off the ice very downtrodden.
Yeah, they deserved better. I mean, look, they've been, despite being without Connor Bedard, they've been
Drew, just say their whole team.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough.
Their IR list. They have $33 million in cap right now on IR.
I was doing it for $43 million, Dave.
Well, honestly, as I was doing the pregame report, and I was like, "Oh, Seth Jones is out. Oh, Nick Foligno's out. Oh, and it went on and on and on and on. And I was like, they're honestly missing like two lines and top pairing defenseman for their team, I should say.
No question. And you got to feel bad for them. 2 straight games they've gone up against some high-powered teams, the Jets tonight, and the Oilers on Tuesday night. They give up, and again, they lost to the Oilers 2-1 again. And the Oilers, I think, in that entire game only had something like 15 shots on goal. So they've, Chicago has been, doing their best. They've been playing some decent hockey. They beat the Flames on Sunday. And in the midst of this, the last two nights, last two games, they end up with 0 points. They very easily could have walked away with the victory tonight, but kudos to the Jets in that on a night where they clearly did not have their A game. I would say that for the most part, they probably had at best a C+ or maybe even a B- game.
C's get degrees, Drew.
Well, that. Yes, we do know that. And, whatever your LSAT number was, didn't get you a law degree, but that's
147.
There you go. 147. C's might get you.
Get me into law school, let alone a law degree. What are you talking about? I didn't even get into the door, Drew.
But you got to sort of feel bad for the Chicago Blackhawks tonight, was my point in all of that. Probably deserved better, didn't get better, but the Winnipeg Jets did, and will get the 2 points, and will head to the the end of the night again atop the NHL standings as this incredible streak that the hometown team is on. Just a grinder for the Jets. The passes weren't working. The skating looks like it was a little bit in mud for the most part. They were really dragged through this game on the shoulders, I would say, primarily of Josh Morrissey in tonight's contest, guys.
Yeah, Morrissey was really good tonight. And I mean, it really seemed like the Jets sagged as soon as it was announced that Mark Scheifele wasn't returning to the game, right?
Right.
And it wasn't that long after that Connor Murphy scored the goal, which we'll obviously get into the Betway game recap, but I don't think Laurent Brossoit saw it, or he didn't see all of it. There was a screen in front, right? I believe it was Dylan Sandberg, Dave, if I'm not mistaken, who was the Jets defenseman.
There was like a million guys in front.
Yeah, Entwistle maybe, I think, was in front. I know Dylan Sandberg was one of the defensemen that was in front of LB, but yeah, I mean, Drew, the second period especially, like, how long did the Jets go in that second period without a shot on goal?
It was an ugly period.
And I think the Jets on their first 3 power plays maybe had 2 shots on net. I know on their third power play they didn't have any shots on net. And then Brendan Dillon, I made a note because now Drew's taking these immaculate notes, so I have to keep up with Drew and all of his notes. What? I'm not going to be outnoted by Drew here. Yeah, but mine. Yeah, but Drew, mine are all on my phone here. Hold on, let me get my notes app out here, Drew.
Aren't you high tech?
See, those are my notes.
Wow. Okay, Ezzy, look at you with the note. Is that a cracked screen though? I'm pretty sure that I see a cracked screen there.
He's reading them through a cracked screen.
Yeah, it is a cracked screen.
That's
my iPhone 10 has seen better days. I'm going to get an iPhone. I just, money's a little tight right now, Drew, so I'm trying to wait it out. I actually think I might get a Motorola Razr. Like, I feel like I could get one of those for like $10 or something like that. But no, you're absolutely right, Drew. I mean, look, I mean, the Jets are a much more skilled team than the Hawks. And that's even with Connor Bedard and Taylor Hall and Seth Jones, Nick Foligno. I mean, we talked about it. 8 regulars out of the lineup. Anthony Beauvillier was just acquired, 2 months ago? He's out of the lineup, right? So, look, give the Hawks a lot of credit for leading this game for as long as they did, right? And, one guy that stood out for me on Chicago that I thought had a really good game was Colin Blackwell, former Seattle Kraken legend. Colin Blackwell. he had that good chance, shorthanded. Remember, and Brossoit had to make a. He was tested. Blackwell was good. So look, we had the comment up earlier. The Hawks are playing hard for Luke Richardson. I mean, they're playing for their jobs. They're playing for. They're not playing for a playoff spot. That's for sure, Dave. But yeah, right. Give Chicago a lot of credit, but also give the Jets credit for pulling out a 2-1 victory and keeping this winning streak going. Nick Ehlers, we were talking about it here. Dave was at the arena for the first 2 periods, and then we always watch the third period here together because we're BFF. And Nick Ehlers, he blasts it over the net right before he scored.
Yeah,
and it seemed like Ehlers missed the net 3 or 4 times tonight. He had a lot of shot attempts, but what a beauty! I think we know who's going to get the Seagram shot of the game tonight, Drew.
Well, there weren't that many options, so you're probably on the right path there, Mr.
Connor Murphy was going to get it up until the right. The 56-minute mark.
You're right. He might have it. He was going to be our only option for a while. But I mean, we really can't get into tonight's game recap, Dave, without talking about the Scheifele injury. So for those of you,
yeah,
go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, like, I further to the point about Nikolai Ehlers, it's funny because we went, of course, the Jets held an optional yesterday. He and Neil Pionk were the guys who skated, the regulars, I should say, who skated. And, he was talking to us, and, he's the most self-deprecating guy you'll meet probably. Like, he's just, the Jets
have dry sense of humor.
Yeah, and the Jets are on this unbelievable run. He's performing, but he's just
I suppose yours, Drew, that's a wet sense of. All right,
thank you. Yes.
Anywho, so the point is that he was saying, well, I could have played better in the last game. I could have played a couple better in the road trip. And, again, he was talking about that idea of like the Jets being not satisfied with their game. So even though they're in first place and even though they're setting, they'd won to that point 7 games in a row, points in 13 straight as of yesterday, Nikolai Ehlers wasn't satisfied. And then, he was talking to us and talking about his game. And I said, it's amazing listening to Nikolai Ehlers right now because he sounds like they lost the game 5-0 instead of beating Columbus 5-0, just to listen to him reflect on the things he had done well and the things the team had done well and the things that could be improved upon. And I just want to get this quote because I think it's funny that he said it yesterday. I mean, he was talking about, being the first place team in the league. He said, that's pretty fun. But he said, we still haven't accomplished anything. We're still not even halfway through the season yet. So again, that gives you his mindset. And then
now they asked,
well, now, yeah. And he goes, not sure, and then he was asked about, why he was skating when so many guys weren't. He said, I didn't feel very good yesterday. I didn't play very well. So I think my legs needed to get out there, get that last road trip out of my system. And then he ended it with this quote, which I think is rather appropriate. We'll see tomorrow if it worked. Well, it did work. He scored the game-winning goal. So, again, it's one of those games. Like, Ezzy and I are watching this, and again, we talk about this a lot. We get feels for game. You get a feel for having watched this team.
Yeah.
And even though the Jets didn't play their best game by far, and you got to give, like Ezzy's been saying for the last little few minutes, you got to give the Hawks credit for playing a hard game.
Mm-hmm.
But it still felt like this game was either going to be, I didn't think the Jets would win in regulation. I actually thought it was going to be an overtime game. I thought there's no question the Jets are going to score. But again, it's just this team is just, even when they don't play well, and let's be realistic, they didn't play well. The passing was, the Jets looked like they were playing like an AHL team. Some of their passing, it wasn't crisp. It killed momentum throughout the first and second periods. They really just started to kind of get their legs under them in the third, I thought, or playing a little bit more to their form, I should say, in that third period. So, but they all can't be Picassos, and you take the 2 points and you run away, and we'll see if they practice. They're scheduled to practice tomorrow. I'm not certain if they're going to do that or not, but we'll see if that holds up.
So the big takeaway for the game, obviously the Jets get the 2 points, and that's very important. But as I was about to say before, is that the question, of course, becomes one of Mark Scheifele's health. If you missed it very early in the second period on what certainly just looked like an innocent rush, Scheifele pulls up lame, and he, you can see it on if you watch the replay, at first glance, you couldn't really see what was going on, but then you can see him sort of grab for his leg, and people apparently are saying that on the bench, he said to Nino Niederreiter that it was his groin, and he immediately skated down, went to the bench and left the ice and went down the tunnel to the Jets dressing room, and was quickly ruled out for the remainder of the game.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, Drew, because usually there's 5 to 10 minutes after a guy leaves the ice. It seemed like that was like 2 minutes after Scheifele left the ice, and then Connor Murphy, as Dan Robertson was announcing it, Connor Murphy scored that goal to put the Hawks up 1-0. Right. So you're right, Drew. I mean, it's obviously lower body, but just the way he was kind of clutching it, it seems like it could be groin. So you're saying that a few fans heard Scheifele say that on the bench?
I saw it on social media. I think it was either Scott or Murat or somebody said that it looked like Scheifele said to Niederreiter as he was leaving to go to the Jets dressing room. He said that it looked like he mouthed something about it being his groin.
Okay. Now, I didn't know that Scotty was a lip reader.
Well, the question, it's funny because there was a little some seat juggling today in the press box. So I was much closer to the Winnipeg Sun and the Winnipeg Free Press, unfortunately, than I usually am.
Punished for something.
Yeah, I know. I had to listen to Kenny and Scotty going back at it. They were reopening.
Were you beside Judy Owen though, Dave? That's all.
No, Judy wasn't there, and so Jim Bender took the seat. He wanted to be plugged into the internet. So I was sitting beside Mike McIntyre today, not usually that close to those guys. They usually have we get a little IC buffer zone. We
Apparently,
didn't get
it
that.
was Kenny Weeb who tweeted about the groin. So that's
okay.
That's
that makes
sense. That's what the chat is telling me, at least.
Kenny's got good eyes, so he's a bit of a lip reader. But anywho, and the thing I was curious about, and they never showed a replay, so we didn't get a chance to see it. But on that play, of course, this happened in the second period when the Jets started with the man advantage, and Mark Scheifele lost the puck along the wall, which set up a 2-on-1 for Chicago. Now, I haven't had a chance to watch the replay, but I was curious if he turned, and remember, they're coming out. They're a little cold. I wasn't certain if whatever happened to him happened on that part of the play and not when he was skating back, because his skating back looked fairly innocuous. So to my mind, and again, I would defer to the chat because I didn't have the benefit of replay being inside the arena in the press box. So I didn't get a chance to really see the replay of the play. And obviously we can watch it.
I watched it like 4 or 5 times, Dave. It was really tough to see what happened before that and what exactly it was. Yeah. Right. But I mean, if he did mouth groin, then it was something like that. It was something like in that general
lower
area,
body
right?
area.
Like
it's not nearly anywhere.
It didn't seem like it was any like a knee or anything like that. It seemed like it was upper lower body, if you will.
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of, who knows what the prognosis for that'll be, and obviously that'll be with something people are keeping a close eye on.
That's an amazing comment by
that
Ishaboy
is a funny
Bruce.
Comment from Ishaboy Bruce.
Who remembers Leonardo DiCaprio's cameo on Growing Pains?
No, what was his name on the? What was his name?
On Growing Pains, what was his name? Wasn't he like the troubled youth with the golden heart that they brought into the?
He was like a late addition.
A character named Boner.
That was Mike Seaver's best friend.
Yeah. That's right.
Boner.
Well, back then you could say different things on TV, and
try to segue from that there, Drew.
I'll tell you how I'm going to segue away from that, folks. There's a new commercial coming up during the commercial break, and in that commercial we reference that we wish we were able to use the mute button on Ezzy more often. That's one of those instances where we wish that we were able to use the mute button on Ezzy. But you can stay tuned to the new world debut of a new Grid Park commercial coming up during the commercial messages of this show, which, let's be honest, are really part of the highlight of the show for a lot of people. In any event, let's get back into this victory by the Winnipeg Jets, one they pull out of the fire by a 2-1 margin over the Chicago Blackhawks on this Thursday night. We say good evening to everyone that's joining us. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and I am your host, Drew Mindell, here talking about the Jets' victory over the Blackhawks. We do this each and every Jets game, and we always incorporate our favorite segment. That is the Betway game recap.
The Betway game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Betway for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Before we get into the few goals that were scored tonight, Jets head coach Rick Bowness telling the media that Scheifele's lower body injury that forced him out of the game during the second period will be reevaluated on Friday. No further update on his status tonight, which is not what I would describe as a surprise. The question is it a day-to-day, or is it a week-to-week, or is it anything more ominous? Or for the Jets' perspective, they obviously hope that it's nothing ominous whatsoever. We'll find out more tomorrow, which of course will be covered in its entirety on illegalcurve.com, so you can stay tuned for that. With the Jets' victory tonight, again, very low event, very dull opening period for both teams, I would say. The Jets controlled the majority of the first period. They outshot Chicago by a 10-6 margin. The best chance came off.
At one point, Drew, it was 7-1.
Yeah, the Jets came out looking like you wanted them to look, but it wasn't crisp necessarily, but they had some good zone time, and that's what you want to see. You want, Chicago, that's where they have weaknesses all over their lineup, but their defense is certainly an area that the Jets can take advantage of.
Jared Tenorti is on the top pair for the Hawks right now. 4 or 5 years ago, he couldn't crack the Habs top 6.
Yeah, and it's not like the Habs.
And I'm not picking on Jared Tenorti. I'm just saying, like, it's not like. I mean, the Hawks defense wasn't good when Seth Jones was in the lineup.
Right.
So, but look, again, give them credit. They were shutting the Jets out up until 3.5 minutes left. But yeah, that's not exactly the Winnipeg Jets defense, if you will.
There's not even there's very few Norris candidates on that back end for the Chicago Blackhawks. No. The best chance in that first period, Dave, came off of Gabe Vilardi's stick. He had a breakaway after it was a
alley-oop.
Yeah, the alley-oop from Nikolai Ehlers that he's been very adept at using, and Vilardi breaks in. But Mrazek, who's been very good against the Winnipeg Jets, this is the second straight game. I guess the goalpost was really good in that game right before Christmas or right after Christmas, whenever that was. But tonight, Mrazek was pretty solid, and he makes this big save on Vilardi in the first period, and that really was the bulk of the scoring chances in that first period. It was like I said, a not uneventful first period. Somehow the Jets were credited with 7 high danger chances, but I'm not
in
really
the first
sure.
period.
That's what Natural Stat Trick is telling me. 7 high
Natural
danger
Stat Trick
chances.
died from watching that first period, so maybe they don't realize what actually happened.
Maybe they're a little charitable with what they're calling a high danger play. But you were in the building. It was just a very sort of dull first period.
No, look, the Jets, it was the Chicago Blackhawks played their game plan to a T, right? Like they basically tried to play a hard game, and they did get their chances. Like the Jets, I thought the Jets passing was poor. I thought like there were a number of instances where I'm watching the game and I'm not solely focused on Mason Appleton, but there were a couple of plays where it just destroyed the momentum that the team tried to build. And it wasn't just Mason Appleton. Nikolai Ehlers made an errant pass. A lot of, I would say, too cute by half passes. I thought Mark Scheifele did one when I think it was either on the power play or on the delayed call where he tried to no look behind the net and it goes right between the two defensemen and out of the zone. There was another play like where the Jets were just trying to be cute. And
Nemestikov, I don't know if
yes,
Nemestikov had the puck in the slot. And he could have just shot the puck on net. He was in a good position to shoot the puck on net.
And he dished it to
Perfetti, who was to the left of Mrazek. Perfetti missed the net.
No,
so that kind of summed up the first period. But Drew's right, Dave. I mean, the Gabe Vilardi breakaway on the nice flip pass by Ehlers, that was by far the best chance. I'm with Drew. I don't know how there were 7 high danger scoring chances. Like maybe 3 or 4, but I don't remember 7.
And again, like I said, like that's what the Jets did, right? Like Ezzy, that's a perfect play to highlight. The Nemestikov, he makes a nice move to create that space for himself. He's going right at Mrazek, and then for whatever reason, thinks the better play is to dish it to Perfetti, who's at a tough angle. I mean, if it works, great, and the crowd goes bananas. But again, it just seemed like that was indicative of what the Jets were trying to do, which was to be too cute, too highlighty, and not direct enough. And again, when
it was more of the same in the second, right, Dave? Like
for sure,
we talked about it. I mean,
as I'm trying not to go too quickly, we have to get through the first two and a half periods of this game without talking about anything.
Yeah, well, at least we have 3 goals to talk about. It was looking like we'd only have 1 goal to talk about, and I wasn't sure, how much time we could. I mean, back in the radio days, we could stretch out a segment like nobody's business, but I don't think we were going to be able to spend more than 3 or 4 minutes on Connor Murphy's goal.
Yeah,
but in the third period, they definitely had a lot of scoring chances. There were, Josh Morrissey had a good scoring chance. Morgan Barron had a 2-on-1 with Dominic Toninato. Mrazek had to make a good save. Then there was the Nemestikov chance. I made a note here. It was Nemestikov assisted by Perfetti. Mrazek had to make a good save. So, yeah, it was late in the game. But again, this Jets team, that's all you need, right? At the end of the day, Chicago never got the insurance goal. So it was a 1-goal game for a long stretch, and they took the foot off the gas a little bit there in the third.
Well, Chicago clearly was just they were just hoping to rag the puck and let the clock. I mean, they were having 4 guys lined up from between the blue line and the red line. They weren't taking any chances. But when you play that prevent defense, all prevent defense does is prevent you from winning the game, is what the old expression goes. But the Jets, had to grind through it. And you're right, the passing was off tonight. I'll give Chicago credit. They did a very good job getting into the passing lanes. The Jets maybe made it a little bit easier on them in that a lot of the net front traffic, or a lot of the shots the Jets did generate through the first 20, 40 minutes of the game, even the first 50 minutes of the game, Mrazek could see. Any bodies that were close to Mrazek were off to the side of him. They weren't in front of him. They were looking for tips. But, if Mrazek's going to see the puck, largely he's going to make the save. Obviously that.
Well, especially when there's no shots like there were in the second period, right?
Right. The second period was not a good one for the Winnipeg Jets. The second period, the shots on goal were 10-6. So it was a reversal of the first period.
They had one shot for the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it was dumb.
It sort of reminded me of, I'm not saying that the Scheifele injury is going to be as significant as Connor's injury, but it sort of reminded me of that game in Anaheim where Connor goes down, remember, and the Jets really just sort of get into a funk for a big portion of that game until they were able to pull it out in the end. And that's sort of that second period after Scheifele left the ice. The Jets seemed a little discombobulated. They had 2 power play opportunities in that second period, and they didn't do anything at all with those power play chances. They were just, really having trouble getting any zone time, and you're because you're on the fly, you're trying to sort of figure out how your game is going to look now on the fly. You're shuffling guys around, you're moving guys into different spots from where they were expecting to be for the majority of the game. So you can sort of understand why when a player goes out of the lineup, and especially a player of Scheifele's ilk and how important he's been to this Winnipeg Jets team, how it can sort of cause a ripple effect of negativity throughout the lineup. And that's sort of what I thought you saw in that second period for the Winnipeg Jets. And it certainly culminates at the 4:19 mark with Connor Murphy getting his second of the season assist to Lucas Reichel and Cole Gutman. I'm pretty sure I went to summer camp with Cole Gutman back in the day, but whatever it was a point shot by Murphy, a wrist shot that beat Laurent Brossoit through a lot of traffic. I would agree that Brossoit probably didn't see that one, as he.
Yeah, Vlad Nemestikov, he failed to clear the puck. He had an opportunity around the blue line to clear the puck, and as you mentioned, your camp friend Cole Gutman picked up the puck, and then he got it to Lucas Reichel, and Lucas Reichel made a nice little drop pass. Dave, you remember Lucas Reichel? He was really good with Rockford.
Yep,
and he honestly, like we talked about, Colin Blackwell looked really good tonight. He had a few scoring chances. Lucas Reichel, they're very high on him. Alex Vlasic, I caught Troy Murray, former Winnipeg Jet 1.0. He was on with Derek Taylor on the CGOB pregame show, and he was talking about Alex Vlasic, who's actually from Chicago, second-round pick, played for the U.S. National Team Development Program. He is a 6'6" defenseman. I'm more of a defensive defenseman. He's not going to put up big offensive numbers, but you can see the Hawks, they have, I think if there's one theme with all these bad teams the Jets are playing, guys, I know this isn't part of the Connor Murphy goal, but when you're talking about the Ducks or the Sharks or the Blue Jackets or the Hawks, there's a lot of good young prospects on these teams. The only problem is they just don't know how to win in the NHL right now. So on this goal, nice little pass by Lucas Reichel to Connor Murphy, but we talked about it. There was traffic in front of Laurent Brossoit. It was Dylan Sandberg who was battling a Chicago Blackhawks forward. I thought it might have been Mackenzie Entwistle, but if Brossoit saw it, he didn't see a lot of it. And it's possible he didn't see any of it because it was just a seeing eye shot. So, Chicago goes up 1-0. And at that point in the game, you were getting a little bit nervous because the Jets didn't have a lot going offensively early in the second.
No, they certainly did not have a lot going early in the second. It was, again, like I described it, the Jets sort of looked like they were skating in mud. Passes were in skates. Blackhawks did an admirable job, blocking shots, getting into shot lanes, getting their sticks into passing lanes. And I thought the Jets were, particularly in that second period and maybe for the first 10 minutes of the third period, were being a little bit too cute with their approach. It was more east-west than north-south, Dave, I thought.
No, that was my thought, Drew, throughout the course of this hockey game. Was I thought that the Jets were trying, you'd watch them and you'd okay, go in and make a shot, and then they'd try some sort of low percentage pass or a shot from a bad angle. And sometimes obviously the bad angle shots can work, but I mean, it just didn't seem like they were being consistent. And one of the things I think we've seen from this Jets team is them being consistent. Now we should mention that, because I forgot to mention it. Axel Jonsson-Fjällby was a game time decision. He was ill. He didn't skate this morning. So the Jets were contemplating going 11-7 in the end. And Logan Stanley did take warm up, but in the end, Axel Jonsson-Fjällby chose to go. So he's obviously wasn't feeling 100%.
Just
dealing
with
a
few Dayquil, Dave, and
whatever he's got to do, right? Yeah. He did, but I mean, it just seemed like one of the hallmarks of this Jets club, which we've been covering. Well, obviously we've been covering forever, but specifically during this run, is that this team has been consistent, and today they weren't. Today they were not a consistent team. You can say, Mark Scheifele's injury threw them off, but like the first period, while they played all right in that first period, there's no question about it. They didn't maintain that level of consistency. And
especially
again,
against a weaker opponent, right? And I think we had the comment up there from Kenny's water bottle, and then I'll throw it back to you, Dave. I'm not going to put up the comment because it was probably about 10 minutes ago, but I agree with what Kenny's water bottle said about, you kind of saw, the condensed schedule. The Jets have been playing a lot of games lately, Dave. Yeah, I think you saw that for the first time tonight, right? Like we thought we might see it against Columbus, but like Drew said, like the legs weren't quite there. And like, let's be honest here, the Jets are playing a lot of hockey games lately, right? Like they're going to have a break coming up at the end of January.
Well, they got a lot. They play I think Mike said, I was talking to Mike McIntyre in the press box, and he said, I think they play 4 games in the next 20 days. I think all the, and
wait till we get to March. If you look,
I'm pretty sure
March
the TSN
schedule
crew is going on holidays because I think they're all Sportsnet games for the next little stretch here. So look, it's just a function of the Jets are not going to be able to, I mean, again, as consistent as they've been, and we've talked about them being able to maintain that, sometimes it just isn't going, sometimes it's just not happening. And tonight was one of those nights. And again, I credit the Chicago Blackhawks because they played a simple game, and we talked about it. We joked about, oh, you're playing Rockford. But again, this Rockford team, in theory, beat Calgary, as Drew said, held the Oilers to 15 shots and lost 2-1, a few days ago. And now, a comeback loss to the Jets. So again, these guys they have pride. They want to, as he said, they want to play for jobs and they want to make an impression. So these guys aren't going to go out and they're not going to give you, these guys are given 100%, whether they have the talent to stick with the Jets. Obviously they don't ultimately, but the fact of the matter is these guys all have a high degree of pride and they want to make an impression and try and secure jobs for the future. So it was a combination of, I thought Chicago played hard, and I just didn't think the Jets had enough going on, especially, ultimately in that third period, they started to turn it around, but it was interesting, right? Morgan Barron takes that late penalty in the second period to end things. And you thought if Chicago gets a 2-0 lead, that could be the end of this game. But conversely, if the Jets can get a kill and build some momentum, maybe they can do something.
Well, to that point, the Jets penalty kill does deserve a couple of mentions here. Now, again, you're not playing, an elite by any stretch power play or anything along those lines, but I believe this is now 4 straight games without giving up
10 for 10.
10 for 10. So the Blackhawks had 4 power play opportunities. Pardon me. They had 2 power play opportunities in tonight's game. And again, the Jets were able to keep them off the board. So this is an important step in the right direction for the Winnipeg Jets and their special teams, that they've now gone, a significant number of games against weaker opponents, against JV level opponents. Again, let's not pretend
JV.
Well, I mean, let's not pretend that they're playing world beaters on the lately, but the Jets penalty kill has been able to keep them not give anything up, and that's important certainly as the Jets continue to try and find their legs on special teams and everything along those lines. To your point before about the big long break after Tuesday's game, so from January 16th, so let's say January 17th until February the 5th. There is no games on TSN at all. The 4 games after Tuesday's game before the All-Star break or all Sportsnet games. So you can get ready
Sean
for
Reynolds
that.
is going to be very busy is what you're saying.
I'm assuming that our buddy Sean is going to be very busy indeed. We say good evening to everybody that is joining us. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Over 550 of you are watching us live on this Thursday night. Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg. I'm your host, Drew Mandel. If you haven't already done so, what we ask of you, of course, is to smash the like button on the YouTube channel. Be sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel because we do this after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, and we're going to do it again Saturday morning at 9 a.m. with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We're going to get you set for the Jets and the Philadelphia Flyers, a team that has been certainly in the news as of late, and we'll talk about that more on Saturday morning, but we'll get you set for Saturday night's home game between the Jets and the Philadelphia Flyers. So be sure you're subscribed. Be sure you're smashing the like button. That's what we want to do. And if you're new to us and you haven't done it before and you're maybe feeling a little anxious about doing so, we encourage you, jump into the chat. It adds a whole new dynamic to the Illegal Curve post-game show viewing experience.
There's nothing wrong with watching and not chatting those.
There's nothing wrong with it, but
you can be an anonymous post-game show viewer. There's nothing wrong with that.
You can be. There's no reason why you can't be. But if you want to add an extra level to your an extra dimension to your experience, maybe you want to jump into the chat as well. Totally up to you. We welcome you regardless.
The chat is hot right now.
If you're a viewer or if you're a chatter or if you're a viewer and chatter, whatever you desire is fine with us.
It's your boy Bruce is fired up tonight, Drew.
Okay, well that's important. So 1-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks after 40 minutes. The Jets start the third period on the PK, and as you mentioned, Morgan Barron was in the box after taking a penalty.
But Drew, you forgot something critical though, Drew.
What's that?
I don't want to correct you, but the Jets were losing, and I believe Saxophone Squirtle made a appearance.
That's a good point. I made a note of that here, Dave.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was on my notes here.
Yeah, Saxophone Squirtle makes an appearance with Benny. I mean, Benny and Benny actually had a literal saxophone. So, I mean, It was a Saxophone Squirtle Benny collab that, of course, went viral. And so I believe that's 6-0-0 now since Saxophone Squirtle in the building.
I just want to throw another thing out there, and I do have this in my notes here. I don't think you can necessarily see it, Drew, but
no, I can't.
At the 9:05 mark, Taylor Radish tripped Josh Morrissey.
Yes.
Morrissey, that was the second penalty that Morrissey drew.
Yes.
They also played Van Halen jump. So I just wanted to.
Thank you.
That was an important point that I wanted to make.
Again, these are the fancy stats that you come to Illegal Curve for. But you mentioned that power play, Ezzy, and that power play was important for the Winnipeg Jets. You're right.
It was.
Josh Morrissey is trying to drag the Jets through the muck. He's trying to drag them back to getting an equalizing goal. And Taylor Radish takes that tripping penalty. The Jets don't score on that power play, but the time that they spent in the Blackhawks zone and their approach to that power play was a different approach than we had seen for the previous, let's say 15 minutes of the game to that point. A lot of net front action, a lot of scrambles in front. Velarde and I think even Adam Lowry and maybe even Cole Perfetti driving hard to the net, trying to do jam plays in the blue paint. So you could see the Jets' approach, which had been so perimeter for the majority of the game up to that point. They realized that they needed to get into the interior, something they've been very good at doing this year and something they've been even better at preventing this year. But you could see the mindset change with that Radish penalty and with the Jets trying to push for the equalizer, which they eventually get. And boy, did the roof blow off that arena in downtown Winnipeg in front of the sellout crowd when Gabe Velarde got his 10th of the year, assist to Adam Lowry and Josh Morrissey, fitting that Morrissey and Lowry get the assists on this one because they were really the key instrumental in making sure the Jets didn't settle for a home ice defeat here. Morrissey collects the puck. He gathers the loose puck that's sort of along the sideboards. He feeds it down low to Adam Lowry, and then Gabe Vilardi, who is just so good at getting away from coverage in front of the opponent's net. He is so good at getting his stick available and loose, and he does it in this instance. And Lowry puts the perfect pass on Vilardi's stick, and Vilardi is able to deposit it behind Mrazek, and the Jets have tied the game with 4 minutes and 29 seconds to go, Dave.
Yeah, there's, you felt the momentum starting to turn. You felt the Jets starting to kind of get back into it. The crowd, to their credit, they were into it. They kept, the chants up, the energy was going in the building. And, as he mentioned him, Josh Morrissey, I mean, he was instrumental. You kind of feel like 44 was trying to will the Jets back into this game. And he makes, that play to go get the puck. And you're absolutely right. Like, Adam Lowry uses his size and his strength along the wall to protect it, to create that opportunity. And then Gabriel Vilardi finding that time and space. I mean, that's soft ice that he just peels away from the Hawks defenders, gives himself that opportunity, and ties the game. And I mean, the crowd goes wild. I mean, as when I were watching it here, of course, but it's just one of those things that you kind of felt it was building. And then sure enough, like I said, with 3:30 to go in the game, it's a huge goal, because you felt like Chicago was trying to hold the dam up with their hands, and they, not the damn line, Ezzy, because we'd call it the mad line here on this show, but they were trying to hold
the damn mad line as well.
Yes, that mad damn line. But anyways, the damn line. But anyways,
so the damn you mad.
Damn mad line.
What about damn you mad? I think that's
Drew. We leave the line making to Ezzy. We leave the line pushing to me, and then we go from there.
And I find anything better to do with myself.
Yeah.
And Drew, you just go do lines. But anyways, the point is that
for the record, I do not. I wanted
you do own a Cocaine Bear shirt, though, Drew. So
say that again, Ezzy.
You do own a Cocaine Bear shirt, so that's
true,
why you left yourself.
Hence the reason I assumed that you were into that kind of thing. But anyway,
we're drug-free show. Not into that kind of thing.
Anyways, so look, it's a huge goal. It gets everybody excited in the building, and it felt like that was about to happen. Again, like I said, not the game you were used to seeing from this Jets club, but that idea that they could get back into these games even when they don't necessarily deserve to continues. And sure enough, they tie the game, and the building is going. And the conclusion, which I won't ruin, of course, Drew, because not everybody watched the game, and they're desperately trying to find out what happens based on our show. Naturally. But the fact is that is something, again, we're not used to seeing with this Jets club, except it happens against this Jets club, right? The late goal to tie it, or in a tie game, giving up a late goal that ends up being a game winner. Not this year, of course, but now that's something the Jets are doing to teams, not having done to them.
Yeah, and Dave, this is a good comment from Matt Hyman. He's saying that we shouldn't expect the Jets to play perfect every night. There's going to be some bad periods, but then hopefully they can find a way to win, right? And that's what great teams do. That's what the elite teams. That's what the Boston Bruins, the Vegas Golden Knights, and now this year the Winnipeg Jets. They play pretty mediocre for the first 50 minutes or so. And I mentioned this earlier, 4.5 minutes late. 4.5 minutes left. See, that's why when I have a cracked screen, guys, it's hard for me to read what I typed here in my little notes app. But Nemesnikov had the chance with 4.5 minutes left. Mrazek had to make the shoulder save. That was when Perfetti fed it to Nemesnikov.
Yeah.
And when there was, pardon me, what was the other one?
The 2-on-1 Toninato to Barron.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, again, crack screen. 8 minutes left. Morgan Barron, 2-on-1 with Toninato. Mrazek shoulder save. So there were two really good scoring chances there. Before Gabe Vilardi scored the tying goal, right? So the Jets were pushing, and Drew mentioned this earlier tonight on the post-game show. I mean, the Jets finally started driving to the net, and they started having more of a shoot-first mentality. We talked about it. The first half of that second period, the Jets had one or two shots on net. They just weren't doing anything. They were making one too many passes. So, yeah, I mean, that's what great teams do. They find ways to win when they play, as Drew mentioned, sometimes you play your C or C plus game.
Yeah. And by the way, Drew, sorry, as a quick aside, it was funny in the second period where it appeared that Mason Appleton had gone offside on a Jets rush, and we thought, well, of course he's gonna break his goal streak of what is it, Ezzy? 25 games, 23 games, and
24 now. Yeah,
24 games now. But at the time, 23 games. And then, of course, it'll be called back, kind of like that empty netter that he missed by a fraction of a second, but the Jets didn't score, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, it did not end up mattering. That's right. Did not end up happening, but I agree. I remember the play. I thought it was offside as well. And then they let the play continue and it didn't end up biting the Jets in the behind. The Jets end up getting the game-winning goal with 1 minute and 5 seconds to go. It's Nikolai Ehlers, his 15th of the game. It's a game-winning goal. It's also the Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Whatever your drink of choice may be, we strongly encourage you to enjoy one of Seagram's great products. Perhaps Seagram's 83, Manitoba's #1 whiskey. How about Seagram's VO, masterfully blended, distinctly Canadian? Or, of course, my personal favorite, Fireball. It tastes like heaven, but it burns like hell. And it must feel
Where's
like
your little
hell.
bottle, Drew?
I just lifted it up. I just showed you.
Oh, I didn't see
right
it.
here.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I didn't see it. I'm not sure. Were
your
eyes closed there for a minute? What's going on?
No, I had a couple of browsers going here.
Okay. But it must feel like hell for the Chicago Blackhawks to give this one up with 1:05 to go. Nikolai Ehlers with a head of speed after taking the pass from Adam Lowry in the neutral zone. And, Ehlers with speed is a very dangerous proposition for an opposing defenseman, and they play off of him and they let him gain the zone with that speed, only picking up speed, and he wires the shot past Peter Mrazek. I thought Mrazek probably should have had it. I don't think this was Ehlers' best shot he's ever delivered. I thought it was pretty savable, but when you're Peter Mrazek, sometimes bad goals get let in, as we've seen throughout his career. Nonetheless, not taking anything away from Ehlers. The celebration, the smile was a mile wide, and the barn was on fire. Not literally, as the Winnipeg Jets took the 2-1 lead with 1:05 to go. The poor Chicago Blackhawks were so close to pulling off the monumental upset, but instead they end up getting defeated by the Jets 2-1. But just look, Ehlers is in a zone right now, and he wasn't good tonight either. I don't think he was, one of the better Jets forwards or anything like that. I thought it was Lowry and Morrissey were the best Jets forwards, but he still comes through in the end, because even when he's not great, or even when his passes aren't tape to tape, his speed is still such a weapon, and you got to see it on display on this goal, Ezzy.
Yeah, and look, I mean, it's a nice shot, low glove side by Nick Ehlers, but. And again, I know, some people might get a little bit sick of us praising Adam Lowry. You mentioned Lowry and Morrissey you thought were the two best Jets. The play that Lowry makes in the neutral zone, though, is a very significant play, because it's Jacob Magna, who I think the Hawks just recently acquired, if I'm not mistaken. We talked about
Seattle,
Colin Blackwell,
right?
Yeah, well, Blackwell was from Seattle.
Maybe Magna was from San Jose?
Yeah, it might have been.
I think so, yeah.
It's Magna who's at center ice, and Adam Lowry makes a really nice play by, again, using that body positioning, similar to what he did on the first goal scored by Gabe Vilardi. He shields the puck.
I was right. It was Seattle. I was right.
Ooh.
Similar to on the first goal, Dave,
Yeah.
Adam Lowry shields the puck, and it's Philip Kurashev, who's not a big player, and it's like Adam Lowry's bracing himself for more of physical contact, and Kurashev doesn't really do anything. He kind of just bounces off Lowry. So Lowry just keeps going, gets the puck over to Gabe Vilardi, and that was the tying goal. On this play, same kind of thing. Like, he just uses, his 6'5" frame, and, he gets the puck to Nikolai Ehlers in the neutral zone. I don't mean to, fixate on that, but I just thought it was a sneaky, really good play by Lowry in the neutral zone. And then Drew's right. I mean, it's all Nick Ehlers' speed after that. And you're right, Drew. That's one of the biggest weapons that the Jets have, and they've, you could really say that in a game like this, you missed Kyle Connor's speed, maybe more so than some of the other previous games against Columbus or Anaheim, San Jose, whatever, because there wasn't a lot of speed in this game, right? Like, there weren't. We talked about it was low event. There weren't a lot of odd man rushes, right? There was the Velarde breakaway in the first period, and then we talked about there was the Colin Blackwell shorthanded chance. But yeah, I mean, just a huge goal because, I mean, that was a bang bang, for our buddy Dennis Bayak. But after the Jets tied it up, you thought, okay, well, this game's probably going to overtime, but that's huge to get the clean win in regulation and keep the good times rolling, keep the winning streak going.
The winning streak continues. It's now a franchise winning streak, franchise record, or I guess Winnipeg NHL team record, point streak. What are we up to now? 32 games
31.
in a row? 31 games in a row, having given up 3 goals or less. And almost equally impressive in my book, now 11 games in a row, having given up 2 goals or less.
Wow.
I mean, the superlatives are being thrown around for good reason. It's because this Winnipeg Jets team and their performance, particularly defensively, has been superlative through 41 games. We're now at the official halfway mark of the season in terms of games played, and the Winnipeg Jets affirm themselves atop the NHL.
You're an exquisite host, Drew.
Thank you,
Edwin. Two teams in the NHL with under 100 goals against, the Jets and the LA Kings. So, I mean, it's a remarkable feat. This Jets team continues. Again, it was funny because even had the Jets lost and the point streak and the win streak ended, they would continue one streak because we knew that the Chicago Blackhawks were not scoring 4 goals on the Winnipeg Jets tonight. So we knew that streak was going to continue of 3 or less. And Drew, like you said, 2 or less is remarkable. And being stingy, that's important because even though that Chicago is not exactly with what they're missing, obviously Connor Bedard. But, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the Jets obviously don't have Kyle Connor in the lineup, missed Mark Scheifele for 2/3 of that game. And, they still end up picking up a victory. The team got it together and got it going. So Nikolai Ehlers, his 31st game-winning goal of his career. He just keeps on.
Not bad.
No, not too bad.
Not bad.
Crazy.
That was his 15th goal of the season. So, I mean, again, it's amazing still to see Kyle Connor remains the leading goal scorer on this Jets club. But again, Gabriel Velarde now into double digits with 10 goals, right? You've got guys, the collective group continues to get it done, and different guys get it done on different nights. So on a night where you knew that you lost Mark Scheifele, actually Anton Fjällby's not 100% with his health, and you overall as a group didn't have it going on. Laurent Brossoit, made the saves he needed to make it. Like, as he said, the one he didn't make was through a screen. And, again, he picks up another win for this team. So the Jets, even when it doesn't look like they're going to, find a way to pick up 2 points. Yeah. And the remarkable thing is, like, the points they've banked. The fact that this team is having, like I said, it's a historic run for this Jets club right now.
Vancouver was in first place overall for like an hour.
But the Jets
they rioted as a result. The whole city burnt down again. I don't know how they rioted that quickly, but they just managed to do it. It's not.
But the Jets have
never too soon.
The Jets have 58 points. I mean, this is a run that probably ends with them in the 110, 115 range right now. And again, like I said, it's significant what we're seeing because even on the nights you don't think that they're going to pick up 2 points, they put 2 points and they move on. We'll see again, obviously, what's happening with Mark Scheifele. We'll see if there's going to be an update tomorrow. Will there be a recall? The Moose are in Laval. They got Ville Heinola back. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, on the other side of the break. Yeah. But another 2 points. The Jets just keep getting it done.
Yeah, Jets 60 points now on the season, Dave. Not 58.
60.
You shortchanged them by 2. Don't you do that, otherwise the chat will jump down.
And it's easy to project the points for the season, right? 120.
Hang on. Yeah. Can you do the math? You did the math right. Good job there. I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to pull that one off or not.
And I thought when Jay Fresh Hockey Dave came out with his projections, I thought 109 was a big number.
Yeah.
I mean, now if the Jets don't hit like 115,
it's a disappointing second half of the year.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, the Jets might hit like 100 points by the end of February the way things are going.
Well, the Minnesota Wild now, with the Jets get to 60, are a mere 22 points behind.
Could have been 4.
Jets. Say that again.
Could have been 4.
It could have been 4. 11 days ago, maybe 12 days ago, it could have been 4. And now they're 22 behind. That is an absolute insane stat.
That's a number
right there. Jets win 2-1 over the Chicago Blackhawks. When we come back on the other side of the commercial messages, I'm a dirty, rotten liar who should be tarred and feathered. But you have to stick around to find out why. Plus, a brand new commercial. Lots going on. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these important messages.
Your coworkers love you because you always make them laugh. You're the life of the party with stories that have them rolling on the floor. Or maybe you're just the quiet one in the corner with the one-liners that just slay. Do you have what it takes to become Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job? Try your luck. Hit the stage at Rumors Comedy Club, and you could be walking away with $1,000 cash. Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job. Presented by Rumors. For all the details, head to rumorscomedyclub.com.
You guys ever wish for a game changer in life?
Like finding out your favorite snack has 0 calories?
Or discovering the mute button on Ezzy?
Picture this, a secret weapon for parking, where you can book a spot a whole month in advance.
Tell me more, Drew.
Pre-book your parking at really low rates, or maybe even for free if you use the code Illegal Curve.
Free? What is this, sorcery?
The Grid Park app. It's a real secret weapon that has affordable game day parking, and to sweeten the deal even more,
I love sweets.
Our listeners can use the code Illegal Curve to park for free.
Holy Zamboni.
Tell me about it. Just download Grid Park, GRYD Park, and use the code Illegal Curve, all one word, to park for free.
The game can change just like that. Accidents happen when you aren't protected. So now what? Getting to your injury quickly can make all the difference. Help prevent them from being game changers with Linden Market Dental Center. Bonding, crowns, bridges, and dental implants. State-of-the-art treatments are available to help you get back in the game. To learn more, visit lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
This January at Boston Pizza, every day is Pasta Tuesday. That means BP's famous pastas start at just $11.99 every single day. Create your own or go gourmet for just a few bucks more. Come on in for Pasta Tuesday pricing any day. Only this January at Boston Pizza.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Yes, it's true. Our friends at Grid Park are back as official sponsors here of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Thrilled to welcome them back. Thrilled to have the opportunity to record yet another fine commercial. You folks are too kind in the chat talking about our acting skills and how we are actually up. The word is that we're up for a People's Choice Award next year as a result of our acting skills on these fine commercials. So, please vote for us in the People's Choice Award.
Wasn't it a Razzie?
No, Razzie is only when we make our movie. I think Razzies are exclusively for movies. I'm not sure about, but look, the companies are beating down our door to sponsor us, and it's clearly because of our commercials. So if you want our mugs representing your company, and let's be honest, how could you possibly not? Give us a call or send us an email. Drew at illegalcurve.com, Dave at illegalcurve.com, get Ezra at illegalcurve.com. Get in touch with us, and we want to represent your fine business that you've spent so many years building up to a success only to see it come tumbling down as a result of your involvement.
I think Bailey sums it up great here with that comment, Dave.
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this. You probably needed Grid Park today for your parking around Canada Life because the snow was significant. So it would be nice to know that you could order your parking well in advance.
There you go. The big thanks to our friends at Grid Park for coming back on board with us. As I mentioned, I am a dirty, rotten liar.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Well, the reason I'm a dirty, rotten liar, friends, is that I said our next live on location show is going to be Thursday, February 29th at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue. Now, we are going to be there on Thursday, February 29th. There's no question about that. That, of course, going to be the Illegal Curve Leap Day party. It comes once every 4 years, so you know it's going to be a real big party, a real rager, as the kids say. But before that, Wednesday, January 24th, the Jets are going to be in Toronto to face the Toronto Maple Leafs. We will be at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue for that epic clash between the good of Winnipeg and the evil of Toronto, at least those in Toronto who cheer for the Leafs, those poor, poor suckers. So join us Wednesday, January 24th. It's going to be a 6 p.m. puck drop. The Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs, the first game of the home and home, will be there at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue. We'll be watching the game. We'll be interacting. We'll be chatting. We'll be enjoying each other's company.
Drew's going to be stuffing his face with chicken wings.
I'm not a chicken wing guy. You should know that about me by now, Ezzy. Boned chicken and Drew Mindell do not mix. It's like oil
but
and water.
You love your Southern fried chicken, but you love your meat. You're a good omnivore.
I do not go with boned. I do not. Bones, Rick Bonus.
Why is it?
Okay
What's wrong with all meats on a bone?
I know what it is at one point in time. I'm just prefer to not eat boned chicken. I don't like a T-bone steak.
What about boneless chicken wings?
I'm always a little sketched out about boneless chicken wings. If I'm going to have something like
what,
that,
you think there's like secretly going to be a bone in there?
No, I'll just have like a chicken breast, or I'll have something like that.
I'm a chicken thigh guy, Drew.
Chicken thighs are delicious. Yeah, chicken thighs. You can't go wrong with that. That's very good as well.
Like Pippix?
Pippix? No, I'm not eating the Pippic or the.
Holy Dinah, guys, come on, let's go.
In any event, January the 24th, no bone chicken for me.
Dude, I thought you were going to try and segue from bones to talking about some of the things Rick Bonus said. I was like, please just do that.
That's what I was trying to do there, Dave.
Like,
you think I'm just trying to have fun with like our food talk?
Yes, I do. But anyways, we will be at Boston Pizza Wednesday, January 24th. Be sure to join us there. You mentioned Rick Bonus, and he had some complimentary words regarding the Winnipeg Jets crowd that was in attendance tonight. Here's what he had to say, courtesy of our buddy Murat Atesh. Quote, give our fans a lot of credit tonight, too, because they were go Jets, go there in the third period. We had a good power play in the third that gave us some momentum. The crowd was right into it. We scored that first goal, and that place exploded. Jets head coach Rick Bonus lavishing the praise upon the crowd that was in attendance, a sold-out crowd tonight that didn't have a lot to cheer about except for the last few minutes of the game, and they certainly, the Jets gave them their money's worth at the end of tonight's contest, scoring those two late goals to tie and then win in regulation.
Bones chicken wings, Drew.
Thank you, Ezzy. More from Rick Bonus on Chicago's game tonight. And again, as we said at the start of the post-game show, we all sort of felt bad for Chicago because they probably deserved better, and they played a pretty good game. Chicago played a great game. Don't look at their roster and don't look at their standings and say it's a bad team. It's a good team. They play hard. They made it very hard for us tonight, and they did get us frustrated. The truth is the Jets have now beaten the Blackhawks 2 out of the 3 times they played, lost one in overtime, but none of those games were cakewalks that you might think when you're playing a team that low in the standings. So
Chicago opened my eyes tonight. I'll be honest with you. Like you mentioned, the game. I was in Mexico for that game on the 27th. I think you did that one with Joe Pascucci, right, Drew?
Yeah,
I didn't watch a lot of that game, but I was following it and watching the highlights, and they were hitting a lot of iron. And it sounds like the Jets deserve to have some more goals on Peter Mrazek. But this was a game. This was not Mrazek stealing the game. Chicago, we talked about it. They killed off. They killed off the penalties.
4 of them.
4 penalties. I was going to say 3 there for a second, but the Hawks killed off all 4 penalties and did a really good job. They prevented the Jets from getting a lot of shots on net, and they were 3.5 minutes away from stealing this game tonight, right? So, again, I mean, Rick Bowness is obviously being very generous in what he's saying. I mean, this is a bad team, and especially with all the players they have out, it's a particularly bad team. But when you put in that kind of effort, the games are going to be close. Like Drew said, didn't they beat the Flames the other night?
Yeah, they did on Sunday. Yeah,
and then they almost beat Edmonton, right? So I mean, look, they're playing hard for Luke Richardson, and I think they impressed a lot of people. And this team is like Dave. We haven't really started covering the 2024 draft too much, but Frank Nazar is a prospect that the Hawks are really high on. He's at the University of Michigan with Jets prospect Rutger McGroarty.
Lots of speed. Jets fans want
Nazar's a really good player.
Yeah.
We talked about Kevin Kurchinski, Lucas Reichel, obviously Connor Bedard, one of the best players in the world at 18 years old. The Hawks are going to be pretty decent in a few years.
And you can see the respect that they have for their head coach in Luke Richardson, that they are still playing hard when they very easily could roll over a lot of these games with the amount of talent that is out of their lineup. They play hard each and every night. They probably deserved a better result tonight, but kudos to the Jets for fighting through it. And kudos again, also to the Blackhawks for showing up when they so easily could not, given where they are in the standings and given all the litany of excuses that is just sitting right there for them.
I think, doesn't that mean Rick Bowness is the coach of the Central Division? But I again, because of his situation with his wife, I'm not certain that he'll go.
You're talking about the All-Star game is what you're talking about.
I would think that the win solidifies his being the coach,
I believe,
potentially of the Central. I don't even know. To be honest with you, I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea how there's a Central coach and a Atlantic coach and a Metro coach. And
is it still 3-on-3? Aren't they doing something different this year? There's a draft. I think they went back to the draft this year for the All-Star game.
They're doing the draft, but I mean, are there only 2 teams or are there 4 teams? That's what I'm getting at.
I have no idea.
Anyways, I'm thinking that Rick Bowness, in theory, would be the coach. Let's call him the coach of the Western Conference. Again, don't care. But I would think that he's probably not going to do it based on, we don't know how his wife Judy's doing, but he did say that, like that sort of thing, I would imagine it's a little superfluous for him. So it's a nice honor. And again, it's a testament to how the team is doing, but whether he goes or not is another question.
Yeah, well, and obviously time will tell on that front. And just for the record, there will not be an Illegal Curve post-game show after the All-Star game.
No, there will
I can assure you that there will not be anything of that. We will be on our All-Star break as well when that debacle takes place. I think it's in Toronto this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, February.
Doesn't matter.
Sometime in February.
Well,
it does kind of matter in the sense that we won't be doing shows, so we always like to let people know.
It's after I think it's right after the home and home with the Leafs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it's like February 2nd.
Yeah, that's Saturday. The Saturday that the Jets play at home against Toronto. That's the start. Right after that is, I guess, the start of their bye week, I think, and then the All-Star game. Then they come back and they're off in Pittsburgh to start at that point.
Yeah, that weird one where they play Pittsburgh. Is it Pittsburgh, Philly, Pittsburgh?
It's Pittsburgh, Philly, and then home to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
February 6th.
It's a quasi home and home.
Yeah, it's a quasi. Well, with a game in between.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they've got the Flyers in between, but it's kind of a home and home. They stay.
Bravo Bree is reminding us that February 2nd is Groundhog Day.
February 2nd, also for the record, would have been my Baba Tootsie's 102nd birthday.
Okay, well, nice. Sorry,
it's not, but it would have been.
Yeah, I know. Sorry that she's not around to celebrate it.
Baba Tootsie got till 97, so I'm not. She did good. She did.
And you have 2 living grandparents that are 97, right?
So. I do. Yeah.
Last word. This is Darren Bombing, our friend. Bonfire Sports Talk.
Yep. And NHL.com.
NHL.com. He was in the Blackhawks dressing room again tonight, just like he was there after the game. What game was that? On Tuesday against Columbus. Here's Connor Murphy talking about the Jets. They're consistent. They don't cheat the game. I think a lot of their play comes from their defensive game, and they just stick with it and try to get pucks and bodies around the net, as simple as that sounds, and win battles. And they know if they stick to their game, things are going to come. We ended up breaking exactly how they wanted. So there's Connor Murphy again, another opponent full of praise for the Winnipeg Jets and the style that they have been playing through the first 41 games this year, now atop the NHL standings halfway through the season. Some off-ice roster maneuvering earlier today in that Ville Heinola is now finally healthy after suffering that untimely ankle injury that cost him from starting the year with the Winnipeg Jets. He is now back healthy, playing games, and was sent to the Manitoba Moose, Dave.
Yeah, there's no surprise there. I mean, again, despite the fact that the team, for whatever reason, was being a bit bizarre, we knew when Rasmus Kupari was assigned. And of course, there's a distinction to be made. One is on a conditioning stint. That's Rasmus Kupari. So he has been sent down. The max for him is 2 weeks. So he can be there till, I think, the 23rd, approximately. He played yesterday in that 4-0 loss to Belleville. But Ville Heinola has been assigned to the Moose, so he can be there however long they decide to keep him there. Not a surprise, though, because he hasn't played since, I think it was September 29th in that game against the Senators. It was a preseason game. Then, of course, he needed ankle surgery, and he's looked good. He's been skating a lot with Rasmus Kupari. So no surprise, Kevin Cheveldayoff, we haven't even mentioned his media availability today. That, of course, is on our YouTube channel.
And we'll talk more about that on Saturday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
But he, like you said, he made the announcement today that Ville Heinola would be cleared medically. And, of course, shortly thereafter, he was assigned to the Moose. They could use him. They'll need him. They're in Laval. We don't know if they're going to lose a forward now because...
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minute Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
I didn't do that, for the record.
Oh, I'm not even kidding. I thought the show prematurely ended. I was like, oh, someone just
that was obviously me.
Yeah, I don't know, clearly, but I mean, I appreciate it. You know me, Ezzy, I'll never stop and never deny.
Well, you didn't run the bumper. I mean, if you're going to go into Minute Moose Minute, you got to play the bumper, Dave.
Sure. I mean, I was trying to keep it to, technically somewhat Jets related, but I'll deviate a little bit and go to the Moose. But it'll just be quick. Again, the Moose are mired right now in a bad losing streak. 5 straight games they've lost. So yesterday in Belleville, it was a tight one. It was 1-0, and then they gave up 2 quick goals to be down 3-0, and then an empty netter. So they lost 4-0 to the Senators, who are really hot right now. They've won 6 in a row. So the Moose need to get back on track. They're going to be up against Laval, the Laval Rocket, the farm team of the Montreal Canadiens. So the Moose will try and get things going. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to call up Lambert, is my guess. I've been right so far this season in terms of the recalls and
crushing Brent's dreams right now, Dave.
Sorry, Brent. I just think it's early for Brad Lambert to be recalled. Remember, they're developing him as a center. It's his first year being developed at the pro level as a center. He did that, of course, last year with Seattle in the juniors, but it's obviously a different animal to play center up in the NHL with the pressure that there's going to be existing. So do I think that they recall him? I don't know. Parker Ford, he's been playing much better of late. He's on a bit of a hot streak. So, the guy he was a preseason darling for many, Parker Ford could end up being a recall option, of course, for the Jets. We'll see again what they
and you've got Rasmus Kupari coming back pretty soon. And
he's back. I mean, he played last night. He played his first game last night for the Moose in Belleville.
No, but I mean, as an option for the Jets is what
for sure. Yeah, for sure. No, you're right, Ezzy. And again, he's a center, so I mean, you could, in theory, do some movement up. I mean, we don't know what the status of David Gustafsson. Doesn't sound like he's that close. It'll be very curious.
Gustafsson on IR to create a roster space if they need to.
No, for sure. But the other option also is. Well, I think isn't Gustafsson already on IR? Didn't they? I'm pretty sure they did when they put Gustafsson on IR. Remember when VL was recalled? So I think they actually did put Gustafsson. I'm pretty sure they did put him on IR. But ultimately, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I tend to think, and again, is that the organization isn't in a rush to look. Parker Ford's older because he played college, right? Chibrikov and Lambert, those are the guys I think they're going to let marinate. Yeah. And like a Zhilkin, those guys, they're not interested in moving them up quick. So especially when you've got
the Moose have to win some hockey games here. Like
for sure,
they're on a bit of a slump right now. I mean, not
a big slump.
Yeah. I mean, they're I think
5 in a row they've lost now.
Yeah, they're last in their division, I believe, right? Like,
yeah, but they're crazy. They're only 2 points out.
The season is not over by any stretch of the imagination, but the point I'm trying to make is Brad Lambert and Nikita Chibrikov. Those are your top 2 scorers right now.
Right. And to me, like I said, I could see them calling up Jeff Malott. I mean, he's played well. He's probably earned himself a recall if you don't want to put that sort of pressure on Lambert right now. And like I said, we'll see what happens. But my guess is that's more of a late season thing. But ultimately, look, I remember when Mark Scheifele went down years ago and Jack Roslovic was the best player on the Manitoba Moose and Jack Roslovic ended up getting the recall for Mark Scheifele. Remember when he went down? That was around Christmas time. I want to say in 2000, was that 17, 18, something like that. So anyways, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I mean, look, it might not be that serious. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves as to the status of Mark Scheifele. So we'll wait to hear if the Jets, I don't know if the practice is still on for tomorrow. If it is, I'll be there and we'll have the updates from Rick Bowness available, of course, on our YouTube channel.
And even if they don't
and
practice,
a little
he'll
site
still be there just because.
illegalcurve.com.
Yeah, he just hangs out there.
Yeah, I'll still be there. Yeah, I'll talk to my friends in security, Paulo and Don and Perry, of course. So we'll shoot the shit a little bit, and then they'll say, Dave, you're not supposed to be here. The building's actually closed.
Exactly. Let's wrap up tonight's post-game show with the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
The Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
Mr. Ginsburg, do you have a winner for us tonight? You're on mute. You found the mute button.
I was going to say for a second there, you weren't going to say anything and you were just going to come in silent there. I don't know what you were doing, pantomime or something. Lots of good chat tonight, led by the mayor of the chat, Isha Boy Bruce. We're going to give it to, and one of the reasons why we're going to give it to this person is because if you've watched the Illegal Curve hockey show over the last 14 plus years, we're very close. 3 weeks away from our 15th anniversary show. Stay tuned
I have money on us not making it, by the way.
Yeah. You think we're going to die?
No, I think there's
disband.
Yeah, the whole Ponzi scheme is going to finally come crumbling down.
Yeah, it's possible. But February 3rd, which is during the All-Star break, is a Saturday. That will be our 15th anniversary because our first show was February 4th, 2009. Wow. How crazy is that? 2009 was our first show. So that's going to be 15 years. And we're going to be planning some really fun stuff. But if you've been listening to the show over the years, you would know that when Drew was younger, his nickname was Skippy. Yes. So we're going to give it. We're going to give it to Skippy. Jets played what I call a plug and play game. Chicago, for the most part, were plugged off high danger opportunities, and the Jets continued to play on through. Not pretty, but still got the job done. So we're going to give Skippy the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment for tonight, January 11th. So send me an email, ezra@illegalcurve.com, or you can slide into my DMs on the hellscape, as Drew likes to call it, known as Twitter/X, @ICSEG, and Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you. And as everybody in Manitoba and basically everywhere in North America knows, there was a little bit of a snow dump over the last 24 hours. Tons of stuff. But as I tweeted about in the Ginsburg River Heights snow report, the snow was very fluffy and light. Yeah. So there was a lot of it, but it wasn't like a couple of years ago when we had, record levels of snow. Like it was like that hard packed, crunchy, heavy snow. So I actually really enjoyed shoveling tonight. It was nice anaerobic activity.
Did you call it an anaerobic activity? Is that what you just said?
Yep.
Okay. On that note, I got nothing else. Ezzy's dropping anaerobic activity. It's alliterative, and maybe we'll let Ezzy get back to doing some more anaerobic activity.
I just hope I make it to our 15th anniversary show, because you have me keeling over, Drew, before that show happens.
I don't have you keeling over. I just didn't expect you to say anaerobic activity tonight. That's all I'm saying. And I'm giving you kudos. That's the high
I like
point.
to keep you on your heels, Drew. I always like to surprise you with my vernacular.
I think is what you meant to say. Keep me on my toes, not on my heels.
Oh,
back on my heels, on my toes.
Whatever.
In any event, congratulations to Skippy for his victory in the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Big thanks to all of you for joining us tonight on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Also, a big thanks to our sponsors. They make this show a possibility. They make the website a possibility. They make the Saturday show a possibility. Reminder, Saturday, 9 a.m., Jets Flyers later that night. We'll get you teed up for the Jets and the Flyers, 9 a.m., 2 hours of Jets talk back here on our YouTube channel. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Chris Locke, is in town. There's very few seats remaining for both Friday and Saturday. You should get them quickly. Our friends at Linden Market Dental Center, Grid Park. Remember, use code Illegal Curve, all one word, to park for free. Zappia Group Realty, Betway, they're the title sponsor of the post-game show. Tough Duck, Boston Pizza. We're at Boston Pizza at the end of January for that Jets and Leafs game, the road game. So be sure to join us there as well for that. Seagram's, Fireball, Drink It Down, Rolly's Transfer, and of course, Farmery Beer, home of Illegal Curve Lager, number 2 Donald Street, or get it delivered via any and all of the delivery apps. These fine companies make the Illegal Curve post-game show, the Illegal Curve hockey show, and of course, illegalcurve.com. They make it available. Big thanks to all of you for joining us. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave us feedback, tell us what you like, what you didn't like. Be nice, though. Tell your friends, tell your families. The best thing to do after each and every Jets game is to be here on the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. For Dave Manouk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Until Saturday at 9 a.m., we wish you good night and good luck. Jets win 2-1 over the Blackhawks. Thanks for joining us on the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.